If you search for the global debt number today, you'll see something so large it barely registers as real. $100 trillion. Not millions, not billions, 100 trillion. A number so big that your brain treats it like fiction. And that's the first lie, because this number is very real, and it is quietly reshaping your future. For decades, we were told the same comforting story. Debt doesn't matter. We owe it to ourselves. As long as the economy grows, everything will be fine. Debt was treated like a scoreboard in a video game, a high score that looks scary, but never actually ends the game. But somewhere along the way, the math broke. And now the world is trapped inside a system that cannot be unwound, honestly. Let's start with a simple question. If global debt is over $100 trillion, who is supposed to pay it back? Governments say future growth. Economists say productivity. Politicians say don't worry about it. But none of them explain how. Because if they did, the illusion would collapse. In the real world, debt has limits. Households hit a wall. Companies go bankrupt. Countries default. History is full of empires that borrowed too much and paid the price. But this time is different. Not because we're smarter, but because the rules changed. At some point, money stopped being tied to anything real. No gold, no hard constraint, no natural break. Money became digital, expandable, infinite. And when money becomes infinite, debt stops being a mistake. It becomes a strategy. Today, governments don't borrow because they plan to repay. They borrow because the system requires borrowing to survive. Old debt is paid with new debt. Interest is paid with newly created money. Deficits roll forward endlessly. It looks stable until you zoom out. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The $100 trillion was never meant to be repaid. Not fully, not honestly, not in real purchasing power. There are only three ways any society has ever dealt with debt this large: austerity, default, or inflation. And the first two are impossible. Austerity means brutal spending cuts and massive tax hikes, pensions slashed, healthcare reduced, living standards falling overnight. No democracy survives that. Default means admitting you can't pay. For a world built on government bonds being risk-free, that would be a financial earthquake. Banks fail, pensions collapse, global trade freezes. So default is off the table. That leaves the third option, the quiet one, the polite one, the one that doesn't look like failure. Inflation. With inflation, the debt is paid back. Every dollar, every bond, every promise, just in currency worth less than before. If a government owes $100 trillion and inflation runs at 5% for a decade, half that debt disappears in real terms. No vote, no announcement, no crisis headline, just slow erosion. This isn't a conspiracy. It's policy. And it has a name: financial repression. Financial repression is how states quietly transfer wealth from savers to the system. Interest rates are kept below inflation. Cash loses value. Debt shrinks invisibly. You don't notice it day to day. You just feel like life keeps getting harder. And here's the crucial shift. Central banks used to fight inflation. Now they tolerate it. Because fighting inflation, honestly, would collapse governments under their own debt. This is called fiscal dominance, where the central bank no longer protects the currency, it protects the government. Rates can't go high enough, money can't tighten too much, printing can't stop, because the system can't afford reality. So instead, inflation becomes targeted, not loud, not chaotic, controlled. Assets inflate first, stocks. Real estate, financial markets. Wages lag behind, savings erode. Purchasing power slips quietly. You don't riot. You adjust. You blame yourself. This is how the $100 trillion lie works. The debt doesn't vanish. It dissolves into time, into prices, into your future. And now, the final layer is being prepared. Digital money. Not for convenience, for precision. A fully digital currency allows something cash never could. Negative interest rates, spending controls, automatic deductions, expiry dates on money. At that point, inflation is no longer blunt. It becomes surgical. Debt won't need to be inflated away slowly. It can be erased directly. This isn't about evil masterminds. It's about a system that ran out of exits. The $100 trillion debt isn't a bill waiting to be paid. It's a pressure valve, a way to release economic tension by draining value from savings, slowly enough that no single moment feels like collapse. So when people ask, who will pay this debt? The answer is simple. Everyone. Quietly, gradually, without consent. This is not the end of the story. It is the middle. Because once people stop trusting money, they say the US will never go bankrupt. But history says every empire believed that. How America really goes bankrupt without defaulting. To understand what happens next, click on the screen.